Okay, today we're going to talk about our tactical response team, or our TRT team. A little bit about SWAT versus TRT. We first decided to go with the SWAT team, and when we talked to some of the attorneys, they said that SWAT was not the right acronym, or was not the right word to use, because we didn't have you guys jumping out of 10-story buildings and rappelling out of helicopters and scuba diving and different things. Even I know Sandor would love to do some of that stuff. So we went with the TRT, the Tactical Response Team acronym. So Mike, would you like to talk a little bit about what the TRT team is?
Yeah, sure. And then to your point about SWAT versus TRT, a lot of it too has to do with like the National Tactical Officers Association, or NTOA standards. And you're exactly right. When you describe a SWAT team, or really the NTOA's definition of these various tactical teams, what they came up with was a tiered process. So you have 4 tiers of teams. The tier 1 is a SWAT team. Traditionally, that includes 35 guys or more. And also, I think it mandates, approximately 8 snipers. So obviously, from a size perspective, we just don't meet that. Same with the tier 2 team. That's also a SWAT team, but I think those numbers are closer to 25 as opposed to 35. Again, it requires the use of sniper teams, which is not something, we're devoting a lot of time and training towards. And then the third tier of that is the tactical response team, which is approximately 15 guys. And the mission set more adequately, describes what it is we're doing. So it's those high-risk search warrants, high-risk arrest warrants. And although we could be used for other things like counterterrorism operations or hostage rescue, that's not something that we, dedicate a whole lot of time training for. And that's something that we would then involve a tier 1 or a tier 2 team to assist us with. So obviously, if we have what we call like an unplanned hostage rescue situation, that's something TRT could respond to. But ideally, would be involving one of the larger teams that, meet those tier 1 or tier 2 definitions per NTOA.
A lot of those tier 1 and some tier 2 teams, they'll be full-time as well, where all they do is SWAT, or traditionally, and our guys are predominantly road deputies, or like we're in the detective bureau, various other places, but the SWAT is a part-time gig for us, and a lot of them are full.
Right, and I still put you guys up against the full-time guys, just for the record. I got some criticism when I first came here and decided we were going to have some sort of response team here from the Metro SWAT team. And part of that problem was by us pulling out almost $20,000 a year was not going into the Metro SWAT team. It didn't make sense to me that we had one person. Sergeant Poundstone was assigned to the Metro SWAT team, and they're out of Stowe, which is up in Summit County. So when they would have a response call, say in Deerfield, the team would go all the way up to Stowe, and they would form up, and they would drive half an hour, 40 minutes, whatever you have to drive up there. And then they would form up, and then they would get in their Metro SWAT mobile, and they would head down to Deerfield. By that time, we had all kinds of dead people, and terrible things would happen. Response time was just terrible. I thought if we did something on a smaller scale and we kept it within the county, it would be more beneficial. I got some pushback from some people, obviously from the Metro SWAT, saying, hey, this isn't how we do things around here. Well, it just didn't make sense to me. We were paying the Lions portion almost $20,000 a year to have one person go, not to mention all the training I had to pay for the time that person would train several times a month, and average 2 to 3 calls in Portage County for almost $20,000 a year. It didn't make any sense financial to me. And then we started looking at some things as far as keeping it in-house, and how other departments had basically their own TRT team, response team. And I just think it worked out a lot better. What do you think about it, Eric?
Yeah, so it makes sense for a muster point wise. All of our officers can assemble really quickly. We have officers that live in various parts of the county. We have several down south, several centered, several live up north. So wherever there's an incident, we can have 3 or 4 TRT members on scene very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that's nice about that too, being internal, all of our TRT members have, take-home marked cars with, lights and sirens, so they don't need to necessarily even go to a muster point. So if we have one of these unplanned critical incidents, these guys can respond directly to the scene, as opposed to essentially, like you said, leaving the county, assembling, and then responding to the incident from there. So the response times are much quicker the way you formed it now.
it's great for us too, because we have different TRT members that are on different shifts, right? So a critical incident may happen, down at the edge of the county, and we've got one of our guys on scene already that is not necessarily the scene commander, but filling in. And he, while we're en route, we can, formulate a plan, whatever options we have, and start getting guys on perimeter, guys or gals on perimeter. And it helps us really paint that picture, because your regular road deputy might not think of certain things that your TRT trained operator is going to.
No. And quicker response time equals saving lives, which is the same message that I was trying to convey with going to a countywide 911 dispatch here, which we pushed for. And we are getting more people coming on board with that, because it cuts out the middleman. Same thing with, we're not saying we don't like the Metro SWAT. I know you guys know a lot of the guys, they're all good people. But at the same time, if we can do something in-house to where our dispatch, and we know exactly who's responding and how many people are responding to it, whatever it would be, it's just better. It just cuts out the middleman, saves time, and saves lives. Detective Hannah, explain how the team is organized and the interview processes and the fun stuff that you do out there to make sure that the people are fit mentally and physically in order to do the job.
Sure. As far as the tryout phase, they have to accomplish several things before they're considered for selection. One being, obviously, they have to be full-time law enforcement off of probation before they could even say that they're interested in this. From there, there's a physical fitness portion of this where they do essentially the same physical fitness you would do in the academy. There's push-ups, sit-ups, mile-and-a-half run. We've also included a bench press phase. Beyond physical fitness, there is the firearms qualification. They get taught and are evaluated on surveillance techniques. There are scenario-based trainings that they have to pass within our shoot house. And then finally, there's something we call the field phase, where we make sure that their heart is really in this before they start. And as far as the team makeup, essentially we have one tactical response team, but it's subdivided within two teams, and these are my two team leaders here. So Sandor here is in charge of our primary assault team. Noel's in charge of the primary breach team. And within each 5-man team, we have various roles and responsibilities. So obviously, of the 5, you have your team leader. Each team then has a medic assigned to them. And then each team also has not just a breacher, but a breacher instructor that can instruct the rest of the team. So each of these 5 guys will fulfill a very specific role on each mission. So like I said, you've got your team leader, your medic, your breacher, and then you have 2 additional guys that are usually carrying mission-specific equipment. So within each team, they are able to operate on their own. And then obviously at the primary breach point, Detective Noel's team has a bunch of specialized equipment that can get us inside of any structure relatively quickly. And then they'll work together once inside.
What's some of the specialized things you have?
So we specialize in a lot of ways to get inside structures, whether it's a locked door or something like that. We have a shotgun breaching tool that we use to eliminate a locked door or deadbolt or something like that. We have several quickie saws that we can use. We have one that's gasoline operated and one that's electric. So mission dependent, if we're space limited, we use one of the small saws. If it's something large, like a big heavy metal door, we can use our big concrete quickie saw to get through it. So whatever the barricade is, whatever the door is, we can get through it.
Good.
And then all of us are certified on mechanical and ballistic breaching. In addition to that, several of us have thermal breaching training as well.
Would you like to explain the difference between those 3?
Sure. So mechanical is kind of what your normal tools are. That's your ram, your hammers, your pries, and things like that. Ballistic is when we're using a specialized round through a non-lethal shotgun to open primarily interior doors, as Detective Noel had explained. And then thermal breaching is using some kind of thermal torch, usually to cut through metal locks and things like that. So everyone thinks of SWAT or TRT and they think of the ram. Obviously, that's great for push doors, but a lot of doors open out. And a lot of doors, especially metal doors within masonry, so think of, big commercial structures. Sometimes those doors are just too difficult to open just by hitting them. So we need some specialized equipment that Detective Noel and his team provides.
And we kind of train the worst backwards. So obviously in this job, everybody's biggest fear is active shooter, school shooter, something like that. Well, a lot of those doors are heavily fortified. So when it comes to, class different classes of doors, and like what Hannah said, the masonry reinforcement, like those quickie saws, not everything is going to get opened by a ram or a hammer pry. So those quickie saws give us another ability and gives us that, I guess, added value of being able to get in that door when we really need to. So it's beneficial. And we're all cross-trained. Like, even though my team's the assault team, everybody knows how to do all the breaching jobs, so on and so forth. That way, if, one person doesn't show up for the op, we don't have the exact numbers, it's fine. We'll be able to fill in and cross-coordinate with other.
So how many members currently are on the team?
Sure. So right now we have 15 on the team. So you have myself as the commander. We have 2 team leaders. We have 3 medics, and everyone else are law enforcement officers assigned to the team as as an operator.
Detective Sandor, why don't you explain the physical aspect of this?
So when we do our selection process, like Hannah mentioned, there is like a board interview, right? And what we want to do is we want to see how you act under pressure. Kind of similar to being in a room doing a podcast with your boss. They want to make sure that you can, articulate and still be able to function under that. That's why we first bring them in, right? And then there's obviously the physical fitness test itself. Then there's shooting, but then there is a real selection where we bring the guys and gals down. We don't really let them know what's going on, and it's a round robin, physical smoke session where we're going to break you and there's going to be gas. Now, there is a caveat. Every single one of our guys and or gals that are on the team have done that not only before to be selected, but every single year after that. So it really gives you, something to look forward to. And we want to make sure that we have the top. We want the absolute best that the agency or law enforcement in general has to offer, because we have been on ops. Like, there's one I was thinking about 2-3 years ago, I want to say, where we had a guy that just fell out. He physically couldn't take it anymore, from a neighboring agency, but a great guy. And we had to carry some of his stuff, and that goes to show that, like, one person out of that fight, it takes 2 more out, because you got to make sure he's safe and secure his equipment and, so on and so forth. So
that's a great point.
That physical fitness and ability really keeps us mission capable, and that's the highest standard.
Is there something that they have to do regularly, or are they encouraged to go to the gym, or
so
what?
We have 2 PT tests every year. So the one is very similar to the OPATA PT test, with a 1.5 mile run, minute push-ups, minute sit-ups, bench press in there. And you have to pass, and it's the top 75 percentile of the age. But then also we have a secondary PT test, which is, it's a few laps around the sheriff's office, which oddly enough is way larger than you would think. And you're going to be, pushing ammo or carrying ammo cans. You're going to be doing buddy drags.
I got some pictures of that. We'll
I'm sure.
into this. Yeah.
And it's to make sure that we know where our fitness is, and it's what we're training for is the worst case scenario, and that's one of the worst case scenarios. So it's a great measure as far as where you're at physically.
And then we do have ongoing physical fitness training scheduled throughout our training events as well. Obviously, we try and maximize our team training whenever we're together. But that said, physical fitness is important. So either it's a drill that we're doing that involves, building searches, or it's shooting, but we incorporate physical fitness into it, or we'll dedicate an hour, throughout that training session to strictly physical fitness. But you're right, we're only together so many hours a year, and it is up to the individual operator to maintain their physical readiness.
Detective Knoll, if someone is not pulling their weight, say they're doing okay, and then not okay, what do you do to encourage them to get better, or what do you do to tell them that they're just not cut out to be part of the team?
So one nice thing about being on a team is we all care deeply about each other. So whether it's we have to stay a little extra, work on PT, if we want to go one-on-one in the shoot house, work on tactics, we work very hard to make sure we're all up to the standard. We don't want to lose anybody from the team. So we try very hard to work with people rather than just cut them loose.
It takes a certain kind of person to be part of this. It's like you said, it's kind of a team, but it's a family. You have to be like-minded. You have to also, you want to do the right things, and I don't want to say be kind of a cut above, but you are. And that's why there is a process to all this. What would some examples be for when the team would be activated?
Sure. So primarily whenever we're, getting called out, it's usually either a planned operation or it's an unplanned critical incident. Generally speaking, if it's planned, it's either a high-risk search warrant or a high-risk arrest warrant. Usually what that entails is you have somebody with a history of violence and they're believed to be armed. That's the time that we would have a planned operation. Our team would be briefed ahead of time. We would sit down, we would, muster, and we would move out to that operation, secure the scene, and turn it over to detectives or presumably back to the road patrol if it was like an arrest warrant type situation. For the unplanned missions, it usually falls into like three categories. You have building searches, which encompasses 100 other things. But primarily, there is a single structure that needs to be occupied and secured and turned over to detectives of patrol. You also have kind of your open air arrests. That's somebody that took off into the woods, for example, and then we're using our team as a fugitive apprehension mission. In my opinion, I would say that's even more dangerous than your traditional barricaded subject within a home. The nice thing about having someone in a structure is I know they're in the structure. What we're seeing a lot now is guys are in a traffic stop or guys free from law enforcement, and we're in a very rural county, they run into the woods. And then you've got a guy that's potentially armed, and not only is he barricaded within a home, but he's barricaded somewhere in a mile. And behind every tree, behind every bush is a potential issue. So that's something we've been training a lot, is these rural tactics to be able to safely and effectively clear large areas. And a lot of times we're calling additional resources like air assets, drones, canine, and things like that to help try and isolate where that guy might be. And then finally, we train a lot for vehicle assault. So that's traditionally not something TRT is called out for, but it's something that might happen hastily. So we go to a house, for example, to serve an arrest warrant. He sees us coming, he jumps into a car and goes to bail out. Or potentially we're on a traffic stop, the guy's armed, he's refusing to comply with commands. So it's something we train relatively heavily, is the ability to extract him, extract that subject from the vehicle, either through consent or not through consent. So we train as a team to assault that vehicle and extract all the occupants. So those are the three, I guess, primary types of calls we face.
Going back to like suspect apprehension, because we've been seeing a lot of it recently where, it's somebody either runs from a house, they've got warrants and they're, I don't want to say barricaded in the woods, but they're somewhere in the woods, or, vice versa. They'll run on a traffic stop, what have you. It's to see the assets that we have, and examples like we don't have a canine on SWAT, or we don't have a drone, but we will work with our drone and our canine and to see the different pictures come together. An example is, a lot of us run infrared blinkers on our helmets. So in the event that they have someone or they see someone on thermal, with the drone, they can walk us in. And they can see where we are, overhead on the map, and, where the suspect is, and really help us out, because, without that, we would be absolutely blind.
Detective Knoll, we don't have paramedics here, so how do we do that process? And how well do we work as far as integrating drones and canines?
So we kind of opened up the tactical medic position to other fire agencies in the county, and we have one from Charleston and from Randolph, right? And then Ravenna Township as well. So our three medics are from three agencies within the county. As far as integrating other parts of the agency like canine, everything, it's pretty much seamless. We have Corporal Clouden. He was a former member of our TRT team, so he knows what we need when we ask for a canine. He knows exactly what to do. He's familiar with our tactics. We have other detectives that are drone operators. They work with us frequently. They know what we want and our expectations, so it's a seamless effort.
Detective Sandor, give me an example of when you would need possibly another TRT or a SWAT team in conjunction with somebody else. Or does that happen very often?
Knock on wood, it doesn't happen very often. But there's a few instances, like in the event that there is civil unrest. A few years ago, we assisted Summit County and Akron when they had the riots down there, and it's just a manpower staffing issue. Another instance is, everybody, God forbid, an active shooter, hostage shooter, hostage situation, where if there is the time, we would like to call, a larger agency in or a tier 1 team, but time is of the essence, and there's probably a good chance we don't have the time. Right. And also with that, though, we do have negotiators that we work very closely on from, our agency too. But in the event that we think that it's going to be a very critical incident, we might be the ones that have to step up, and we're trained to do so. But likelihood of if it has the time, regardless if it starts, it'll probably be OSP's SRT team. But again, time is of the essence, and we don't really know what's going to happen, but we're going to lock down whatever perimeter we can. We're going to be ready to go when it's time to go. But other than that, that's ideally where we're at with other agencies.
Yeah, actually, we were involved in a hasty hostage rescue situation down in Stark County back when we were working with the Alliance SRT. There was I think it started out as a domestic. I don't remember what the initial call was, but essentially we had a guy with a history of violence. He was armed and he had an infant with him. So it was our team and Alliance's team simultaneously hitting the structure so we could separate him from the infant as quickly as possible. I mean, ideally, like Sandor had talked about, we could have a tier 1 team assist us or somebody like FBI's HRT. But a lot of times these situations develop so quickly, we just didn't have time and we had to act on it. So we do have hostage rescue training, but a hostage rescue situation is top of my mind as a time would involve another agency.
I know you said before we don't have a sniper per se on our team. Is that something to possibly put in?
So a sniper program brings with it a whole lot of additional training just for those sniper teams. And that's something that we don't have a dedicated sniper right now, but we do have long range assets and guys that are designated marksmen. So they are trained in using, firearms that have, they typically have a low power variable optic, an LPVO. So that's something that they can be used in that type of capacity, or they can cover us on the approach, but it's not a designated, sniper team per se.
So if we had a hostage situation and say they were 50 feet away,
absolutely,
we have somebody that could take out the threat.
Yes, and we have guys that have gone through sniper certifications. It's just not something I advertise because they don't strictly meet the NTOA's sniper training requirements. So what they do is they have a larger caliber rifle with an optic that is beyond what most of the team members carry, and they can take those shots, or they can provide us with that level of surveillance or that overwatch capability on the approach to the house. They're just not a sniper team. So that is something that we're working on. We're expanding on. I think we have 2 now. I think 2 now that are qualified to do that for us.
For those of you who know me, I love to shoot and I love the range. And when I first got here, it was just a big mud bowl, and it had a lot of potential. And slowly we're building things, and it's getting more and more. Like I say, it's going to be like an amusement park for people who like to shoot guns, and that's my goal. I'd like to have a shoot tower, and at some point we're getting a 300-yard shot. I've been told we can get a 400-yard shot. We're also in the talks right now with the Ravenna Arsenal as far as being able to use some of their long-range facilities over there. When I was a rifle instructor with the OSP, we went over there and we used their machine gun ranges and all that. So we're going to be able to use all that too, so that'd be really cool. But we're slowly starting to build things down there. And one of the things you talked about, Mike, was the shoot house. So for someone who doesn't understand what a shoot house is, you want to go ahead and explain that?
Sure. So one of the big things we were lacking as an agency when I first started here was the ability to do CQB training internally. So a lot of times we're going to other agencies' ranges. We're going to be using their shoot houses. And essentially what it is it's a building for us to practice CQB tactics in as a team. So what we've done is the team, through donations and funding that way, has built a house in which we have movable walls. We have doors and rooms that we can practice all of our building searches with what's known as UTM ammo. It's basically a simunition. So we get to use our actual firearms with our actual optics, our lights, our lasers, all of that. And we use these training rounds to basically simulate live fire. We've built a whole house out there where we can practice all these tactics, techniques, and procedures.
It's awesome.
And we were the ones that built it. So it was just us with the team. I mean, we had some help from like Don Tani in the jail and Sergeant Poundstone and all them, but a lot of it was us. You know, we were out there a few times in blistering heat, and a lot of the guys from the team came out, and none of us are carpenters by trade, right? But we have someone that's good at woodworking and someone that knows how to do foundations. So it's homegrown, and that's the charm of that shoot house is we did it ourselves, and it's better. Like seeing all the agencies that come here and shoot on a regular basis, and they see our shoot house and they're envious. It's awesome because it was just an idea one day, and we made it happen.
Yeah, now we have 7 rooms that we can train in. It has 2 sides to it. One is kind of a residential side. It looks like a living room with a couple bedrooms. The other half of it is more commercial, so we can practice, 4-way intersections and clearing office spaces and things like that.
And I want to give credit to Lakeside Sand and Gravel too, because they helped us out a lot. They gave us some machinery to use, and they were extremely helpful with all of that.
Boy, they really have. Yeah, Lakeside's been really good to us in that regard for sure. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see or play around with the new virtual guns. We actually had it at the Dusty Armadillo, set up for some people to kind of play around with it. I'll tell you, being a firearms instructor with the State Patrol, this is kind of the stuff that you just kind of knew was coming, but they had some early stuff that was, kind of very primitive, whatever, but this stuff is really cool. And you can actually have somebody go through like a school or a hospital in your area. They actually have the ability to go in there and plot it out to where they could go to UH Ravenna, and you would have this, you go down this hallway and it turns to the right, and this one, and then you can actually add people, that good people and bad people to shoot, and you have a gun, and in some cases you can use your gun. You put an optic on your gun that actually becomes part of the game or the virtual simulator, and you can go through there and actually train that way without using rounds and without getting anybody hurt, and it's really cool. And some of the other stuff that they have too, as far as this backpack that you can put on, it actually has the sounds of a gun when you shoot, and we bought the first phase of this thing, and it's really cool, and I think you guys are going to like it a lot too, and it'll probably help you out with some of that stuff, that training, and I think we're just going to keep adding to it.
Well, honestly, on the topic of that new technology, I did get to play with it a little bit. It is awesome, and one thing I'm excited about, and I think all the guys are excited about, is the ability to continue to do these types of trainings. But now we're indoors, for example, during the winter. We can continue to do CQB because that's the one thing our shoot house does not have, and that's a roof and heat.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I know the guys are going to be really excited to be able to do this virtual reality training. And I think it'll be great for that, shoot, no shoot training as well.
And for all the officers too, not only the TRT officers, but deputies in general. I said to incorporate it into roll call to where you can literally go in there and you can have, and there's so many different things that you can choose to where people stay up on, or who's the best shot or whatever it would be. To have some sort of a competition too, So
we did instantly.
Did you?
Instantly.
Yeah.
We figured out how to shoot it, and then it was a competition.
Yeah.
Who was winning that, Tim?
Oh, you cheated. He did the duck hunt thing where he's up against the screen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I got to brag a little bit. When they were selling it to us,
Yeah.
they had that. It only kept the top 100,000 people that had used that, and I got in the top 10% when I shot. So I actually got to put my name on there. So I said, okay, it's sold.
Nice.
So, but it was good. As far as funding goes, explain a little bit about the funding and some of the things we do. Eric, maybe talk a little bit about the Dusty Armadillo thing that we've kind of incorporated now has become an annual event.
Right. So about once a year, usually in the fall time, September, we host a fundraiser at the Dusty Armadillo. We all get together. We reach out to members of the community, see if they want to donate, and if they do donate, we make a big plaque. We call it the thank you plaque. We put it up. It has all their names on it. A lot of us get together. We get baskets, fill it with stuff for people to bid on, do a lot of auctions. I know Jansen from Manaway Hardware, he puts together a gun board for us. People can buy tickets. It all goes to the TRT, PACE, and K9. It helps us raise funds to get equipment. It's less of a burden on the taxpayer.
The donations we get from people is just amazing. The businesses and just the people who want to help law enforcement, they come up with some great things, wooden flags or baskets or different things, and Sean Mart's down at the Dusty Armadillo, I'm telling you, great guy, and he's always there to help us out whatever we need, and just great facility they have over there at Dusty Armadillo. So
It's a great event, and it's a lot of what when we do our interviews and like it's a board panel, when we're looking at new applicants for the team, I always ask them like, how good's your PT? How good's your weapons qual? How good's your decision making? And I go, how good's your PR skill? Because with what we do and being completely self-funded like we are, a lot of our abilities, other than assaulting rooms and houses and looking for bad guys, it's PR. So it's doing these events, interacting with the community, doing these fundraisers, and we like it too because it shows what we're doing, some of the new, stuff that we're up to, new gizmos, gadgets, and we're interacting with the community, which is, numero uno, I think, in this position.
Right. And one of the big things that surprised me, but has really kind of taken over, is the Jeep clubs.
Yeah,
it's really turned out. I mean, we had 5,000 Jeeps. Well, it wasn't that many, but there was a lot of Jeeps, and every year it just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
200 or something. Yeah, every year it seems like they bring more. And also beyond just fundraising at the Dusty Armadillo, we also have fundraising T-shirts and hoodies and things like that people can purchase at the CCW office here when they come in.
Right here.
Yep, absolutely. Right, and I mean, I'm a Portage County resident myself. It's nice that we don't have to constantly go and ask for, raises in taxes or more funding. It's amazing that, it feels like the community wants this team as well. And they've been really supportive, both, verbally and financially. And almost all of our training and equipment comes from this donation fund and everything that we raise every year.
And I know you talked about it a little bit earlier, but how often do you train as far as man hours and the different teams, and explain off shifts and how all that works?
Sure. So as far as the number of hours, we train as a team a minimum of 192 hours a year.
Wow.
So basically what that boils down to is every pay period, one of our 8-hour shifts is dedicated exclusively to team training. So obviously we train together a lot.
So that cuts down overtime too then. Yeah, which is good.
Right. Well, and then the nice thing too is the way our team is structured, we're a part-time team. So we have members in patrol, the detective bureau. I mean, it's really permeated all aspects of the law enforcement side of the sheriff's office. So patrol, the detective bureau, we have members in the drug and violent crime unit. We have a member with the civil division. We got members within our warrants team. And the way we do bidding on patrol is we have at least 2 slots for TRT members on each shift. So basically, the member of TRT essentially gives up their ability to bid wherever they want. They surrender their seniority, and we do that for the benefit of the agency and the community. So our goal is to have a minimum of 2 members of TRT on duty 24/7, 365.
Wow. And that's tough sometimes.
It is. And
that
then
just shows the devotion too.
Absolutely. No, these guys are here because they want to be. They do not have a whole lot of benefit for joining the team. In fact, it's it's a lot of extra work for nothing more than potentially getting called out in the middle of the night. And then you'd mentioned some of the specialized training as well. A lot of our instructors are even in-house at this point. So we have instructors that can certify us in breaching techniques, in mechanical and ballistic. We have firearms instructors. We have instructors for building search. We have instructors for less lethal weapons, both chemical and impact munitions. We have flashbang instructors. I'm sure I'm missing some.
I think you covered about all of them.
I covered most of it, but essentially each of our guys on this team has a specialization that they bring to this team. And it's not just something that they're interested in, it's something that they have instructor level certifications in. So throughout the year, they're able to train the rest of us and certify the rest of us.
Okay. Eric, do you guys always train down at the range, or do you go to different places?
No, we go to a lot of different places, especially in the winter. A lot of the school districts have been very helpful in letting us train in their facilities. And I think that's really important too, because if we do have a worst case scenario where we have a school shooting, we're all familiar with the schools. We've trained there, we've been in there, and it makes a huge difference. A lot of times too, we get to train in houses that are being torn down or foreclosed. Members of our community will let us train inside there. Mm-hmm. That's also very valuable because there's nothing better than training in a house you've never been in before. One thing with the shoot house is we get used to it. So when we go somewhere new, it's very beneficial to the team to train in that place.
And we're always looking at campers or houses to use if you would be so kind, especially if it's going to be demoed.
That's what I was just going to ask.
Because we'll help with the demolition.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, we had a Portage County resident down in, what was it, Suffield Township?
Yeah.
And she opened up her home, and same deal. It was both to us and the fire department. It was awesome. We got to go through. We got to practice our breaching techniques. We inserted gas. We, were able to train both daytime, low light, and no light within the structure. And at the end of it, the fire department got to perform a controlled burn and practice some of their training as well.
So, is there specialized certificates or certifications that you have to get for different things? I know, like you said, the sniper. What about within the 15-man team? Does everybody have the same certificate or certification? And then is there different levels of things that they specialize in?
So right off the bat, like once we get somebody selected in the team, there's a 1 week minimum certification, and it's NTOA or OPATA SWAT operator basic course. And that's the 1 week of where you are learning the ins and outs of what we do. And they even cover case law, which is extremely important with what we do, knowing your limitations, knowing what you can and cannot do. That's the biggest part of our job. But then there's different levels, there's different certifications, there's specialization. Like we just, was it last year? We had some guys go to our the master breachers course, and that was great because they brought everything back and taught it. And that's kind of how it's designed is, you go and then train the trainer, and we bring all that back as much as you can. But yeah, as far as generalized certs, it's usually a minimum of that 1 week training.
Yep. So a minimum OTOA's basic SWAT operator school, or a 40-hour equivalent. And then every one of our guys is trained in first aid. They're trained in impact munitions. They're trained in chemical munitions. They're trained in flashbang. They're trained in chemical aerosols. And I think that might be it as far as the mandatory courses.
Which works, because I've seen you guys down there, and I've seen when you guys do the gas and even standing there. And I just got to brag on you guys, because all three of you guys, when you're carrying those heavy weights and people are falling out and coughing and snotting all over the place, you guys are right there too. But guess what? You pick up their spot and you run, and you keep encouraging these guys to, let's go, come on, we're part of a team, and do this thing. And I've seen it. Hats off, because I don't like any of that stuff, and
we won't make you try out.
Yeah, well, I've breathed my share of that kind of stuff through the years, believe me. And I've been shot by a taser, or whatever they call it now, Axon 13 times. Never even got a T-shirt. So I'm supposed to get a T-shirt every time. I never got one, but
I think they owe me one too.
Yeah. Each one of you guys just explain in your own, and maybe you'll overlap a little bit, but why do you feel it's important that Portage County has our own tactical response team?
Well, for me, there's a demand. My family lives here, and if God forbid they're involved in a critical incident, I want the best of the best showing up. Like you said, there's nothing wrong with interagency teams or multi-jurisdictional teams, but the problem is response time. And we have the number of guys here that are willing to drop everything when they're needed or when they're called upon and respond to these incidents. I think we can do it ourselves. We've shown that we can do it ourselves, and we can do it quicker when we're, what am I trying to say here?
A team within the agency?
Yeah, when we're the team within PCSO. And the other thing, too, that's nice about having our own individual team is, unlike some of these multi-jurisdictional teams, we're working with guys that, during these TRT callouts that we work with every single day. With some of these multi-jurisdictional teams, there's nothing wrong with them, but you're working with guys from other agencies that you don't know the way I know these guys. We're a family here at PCSO, and kind of a family within TRT because of it. So even when we're not on a TRT call out, I am working with these members every single day.
I know a lot of, the naysayers, if you will, they'll say, well, why do we need, this is just, Podunk, Portage County. Why do we need this, this SWAT team or TRT team? And the truth of the matter is, if you look at the numbers of Akron, Canton, Cleveland, Youngstown, I'm not throwing shade at the cities, but if you look at the highest crime per capita, they're some of the top, numbers. I don't know the numbers off my head, but when it comes to violent crime, they're at least top 100. I think Cleveland was number 6. Maybe Kent was like 9 or 11 or something like that. And where's Portage County? It's right smack dab in all of them.
Correct.
So
right in the middle.
Exactly. So we're seeing, the violent crime from Akron, Cleveland, what have you, spill into our communities. And as being someone that's, homegrown, I like the term a lot because I'm from here. My whole family's here. My wife's family's here. I live here. It's important to me that we police our own and we police the community. And as the team that is operating in this area, because like, God forbid, if there's an active shooter, right? That's our kids at the school. That's the way we think of it, because we know their parents, or we know, someone that knows, and everybody's connected in this little community. And it's important that we are here for that. And that's why I think all of us are so motivated to, be the best operator that we can and do as much as we can.
Yeah, you got that buy-in. Local here.
All in.
Yeah. Eric?
Yeah, a lot of our operators, they have personal connections to what goes on. Some of these call-outs multiple times. We know these people. We've dealt with them before, so we're familiar with how to handle them. Multiple times we've gotten safe surrenders because we knew them. We built a relationship with them. I mean, all three of us here have worked in the jail before we made out to patrol. We know these people when this happens. We know how to handle them and we know how to treat them.
Right. I always kiddingly say I've said to the Attorney General, Dave Yost, many times, is my little cornfield county, as I put it, because we have a cornfield across the street here. But he always says, your cornfield county is glowing, and the things that you guys are doing there, a lot of counties aren't doing. And I'm not putting other departments down or other sheriff's offices down, but you got to take credit for the good. And we got a lot of good things here, and the TRT team is one of them. And yeah, we may not have a per se crime problem here in Portage County, but like you said, Sandor, this is a pass-through county with all the major cities. You got Canton, Cleveland, Youngstown, Akron, Warren. I mean, they're all right around us. And a lot of bad people come from those cities or go through those cities to go to another city. And we're like a big net. We catch we got a lot of stuff going on here, a lot of stuff. And I'm proud. I'm proud of this little cornfield county. How about each one of you go ahead and give me maybe your favorite TRT scenario? It could be good, bad, or ugly.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, well, why don't you go first?
It was about 3 years ago now. It came in and a suspect, there was a shooting, and the suspect basically dipped out in the woods. And that's all we had. We believed him to be armed at the time. I can't give specifics, but it was near the fairgrounds. And I say that because people were actually mad because the fairgrounds was closed and they couldn't weigh their pigs that day. And I'm not making this up.
No, I remember it.
Yeah. So we arrived on scene. We tried to get as best of a cordon as we could, but this gentleman had 20 acres or 40 acres or something along those lines. And I do believe there were some illicit narcotics that were part of it, but he had dug like fighting positions. Like we were finding like not necessarily booby traps, but he would have like bunkers built out that there would be some shotgun shells, or like a high rise, sniper's tower that we found army fatigues and BDUs in and stuff like that. And it's when you're thinking about it, it's like, this is the one, this is the real, this is the real deal. It's not just, your regular run of the mill. You anticipate that he is armed, that he's going to be around that next corner. And that was 6-8 hours, I want to say. And it was us clearing the compound that he had, and then the compound of 20-something acres in the back 40, knowing that the next hill you're going to crest, there's a good chance you're going to get shot at. And in this one, it was cool because OSP, your alma mater, they came out with their gigantic drone the size of our cruisers, and they had air assets, drone assets, and it was awesome to see OSP go, hey, what do you guys got? We're not going to take the scene over at all. Whatever you need, we've got it. And it was great and refreshing because it was one of our first big hits. Now, thankfully, we were able to get a thermal image on him, and we walked in. We're able to find him. It turned out to be a manhunt, but from what we anticipated, he was going to be dug in, some kind of fighting scenario. And I did a few tours of Afghanistan, and I hate being cliche, but that's what it felt like. Like you were on patrol in Afghanistan, waiting to get shot or blown up, because who knows, he might have built an IED, something along those lines. And that was the one that really drove home why physical fitness is important, because we were, just dying that night.
Yeah, no, and that guy absolutely had booby traps set up for us. He had pre-designated fighting positions, different shooting positions. He had like pits with like even the punji sticks, like back in Vietnam. And word on the street was he even had explosives. So that was a really interesting call out, working with these other agencies where, like he said, they provided a bomb disposal robot. We're actually clearing a building next to a robot and communicating with the robot operator. It also really stressed the importance of having night vision capabilities.
Right.
Because I know there's been a lot of shade thrown out about us having NOTs. But the thing is, a lot of times when we go into these structures, we don't know if the power is going to be on or if the power is going to go off. And in this particular instance, he ran out the back. He was in the woods well after sunset, and we wouldn't have found him without these night vision and thermal capabilities.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes it's just your normal run-of-the-mill nut job or somebody that's off their meds, and then you have somebody like this that's pre-calculated, maybe has some prior military, and I mean, you guys, the whole gamut, you know.
Big call out that sticks out in my mind, it was in Garrettsville, of all places. So it's this beautiful, nice little village. You'd never think something bad would happen. And I remember I got a text message saying there was like an axe murder that had occurred. And I remember that's when it really hit, like, oh my gosh, A, we have a need for this team. And B, we have a need for an internal team and one that can respond directly to the scene as opposed to a third-party location, assembling, and then driving out there. I firmly believe there would have been loss of life if we didn't respond as quickly as we did. That particular call, a man had used a hatchet against a man and a woman. I believe it was his parents.
His parents.
Yep.
You know, the father ended up dying later.
He did. The mother escaped.
And that job lived.
Yep. The mother had escaped. I think the husband had distracted him and, you know, was taking the brunt of the assault while the mom slipped out the back. And I remember it was around Halloween. He was talking to some of the witnesses. They initially thought it was a Halloween prank. It was so gory.
I have pictures of it. I don't know if we'll show all of it, but they were pretty gory and pretty
Oh, it was
graphic.
awful. But I remember the first four of us got there, and the decision was made, you know, we don't even have time to wait for the remainder of the team.
Right.
We found out the husband was still injured. He was still inside the home. The suspect was still in there. And when we encountered him, he was still armed with an edged weapon, and the bloody axe was right next to him. Like I said, if we weren't able to respond that quickly, I don't know that the husband would have survived as long as he did.
The one that meant the most to me was, it started out as a sex offense that occurred in Wyndham. This man had been raping his 7-year-old niece. I think, was it years? Just multiple times?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think several.
I don't know how long it went on for, but I know it was particularly violent because I think he had even used a firearm to coerce her.
He had prior military training. He lived in a basement, and like Detective Hannah mentioned, he had access to firearms. So that demonstrates a need for our team right then and there. And luckily, when we did the operation, it was a planned operation, so we had all the resources we needed, and we apprehended him without any issue whatsoever.
Yeah, I was there for that one too. And yeah, that one, it's probably a good thing a couple of people escorted me away from that guy.
I remember that, sir.
When they did. Yeah, I'm sure he probably never voted for me. And
I don't think he's allowed to.
Yeah, he's not allowed to anyway. So what an absolute animal piece of garbage. So
honestly, Detective Knoll brought up a good point there too. We've had several instances now where our activation has actually de-escalated the situation. Mm-hmm. I remember we had one. The guy had been stalking his ex-girlfriend. He even was hiding in the cornfield outside of her house. I believe he broke into the home the next morning, actually, abducted her, raped her, took over the home. And the negotiators were trying to talk him out. And he basically said, I'm not going to prison. You're going to have to send in, you're going to have to send in a tactical team. And I think they heard the air brakes of our vehicle go off. I guess he looked out the window and went, oh, I didn't know you guys had one. I'll be right down. So it's amazing how, yes, it's an escalation of force calling us out, but in general, we can actually de-escalate the situation because they realize there's no winning this for me.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that one. It's kind of like the taser when the red dot comes on. They're like, okay, all right, I'm done.
Yeah, so it gives our negotiators an extra tool.
That's good. That's good. Well, I just want to say thank you to all three of you for what you do, and thanks for coming out today. And it was not your wheelhouse as far as whatever, but I think it went well, and you guys did a great job. So, and this is, again, just trying to get out there to the public, to the tax-paying people that, they're not paying all this extra money. It's not all this taxpayers' money going to waste. There are donations and things that are helping offset this. And even with our range fund now, I've actually worked with Auditor Kelly. We actually have a range maintenance fund.
Also.
And so if we have some of these departments come, they pay us a fee. It goes in that fund. We're able to utilize it for maintenance and upkeep and developing future things for the range. So this is just going to get better and better. So, but I really appreciate all you do, and thanks for coming today. And
thank you.
No,
thanks for letting us do what we do. We can't. There's a lot of thanks that we got to give out. Like the rest of the team, it's when you think of it, no one wants to do this job where it's going to be those late night calls and you got to go. It's like the bat signal, right? And it's time away from your families. It's absolutely knowing that you're going to go in the most dangerous situation possible at a drop of a hat for someone you've never met and someone you don't know.
Right.
And the regular road deputies for helping us, they always are the first to help if we need anything or like the report or, anything on scene, they're always there. They help out with shift shortages, anything like that. You guys, the command staff that gives us the ability to operate as a cohesive unit, the spouses, the community, the constant support that we've gotten from our, community. The spouses at home when we just disappear in the middle of the night and wonder exactly what's going on, but the families have to be, like our wives are all very good friends, and it's a support unit. They're a support group, basically, but just with everything, thank you.
Yep. The annual report will be out in the next couple of weeks, and we'll also include the TRT stats along with all the other stats here at the Sheriff's Office, and we'll have more about that in upcoming episodes. Okay, guys, thanks.
Thank you.
If you see something, say something. Thank you, and be safe.
What does this device do?
So our main purpose for that is to put 40 millimeter foam batons, which are less lethal impact rounds. And it's designed to, say, incapacitate somebody, just like a taser would. You can reach out a little further with this, and you have 6 chances to do it.
And what's this thing?
This is our, we call it our gas bag. So this has a 40 millimeter single launcher. Also has all of our gas munitions in it. So these are liquid barricade rounds. So what these do, they will actually penetrate through a window and deploy the payload of gas inside the residence or the room. These are the 40 millimeter foam baton rounds that I was talking about. These are the ones that are designed to incapacitate a target, just like a taser or beanbag round. They call them less lethal.
Less lethal?
Yes.
So,
well, if you shoot somebody in the head with it, it's going to kill them. So, yeah. These are hand-deployed gas. This is an OC vapor grenade. The cool thing about this is when you deploy it, it doesn't generate any heat. It's a chemical reaction inside, and the can actually gets cold. So if you throw this into a house or a room, it's not going to catch anything on fire.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
So, and this is what fires the beanbag rounds.
Nice.
That's why it's orange.
That's why it's orange, yep.
What's this?
This is a CTS flashbang. It's a distraction area device.
Oh, okay.
This is what we deploy like in
Like in the
doorway.
movies.
Yep.
You said you deploy it in what?
In the doorway.
Oh, okay. So it's like here's a present.
Yeah, they
Merry
actually.
Christmas.
Everybody thinks you toss them. It's more of a placement.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I forgot about the flashbang. That's a good call.
Showing off all the cool stuff.
Yeah.
So this is the setup. Rifle stays ready, you know, all that. It's my personally owned rifle, laser personally owned, everything on it is personally owned. My helmet here, these are PVS 31s, night vision, helmet, cans, you know, ear protection, also personally owned. The vest itself, so the plates inside are Army issued, agency issued, sorry. The rest, the carrier, all the accessories, the pouches, whatnot, all personally owned. So this is not paid for by the agency whatsoever. It's paid for by me and unhappy wife sometimes when she sees the packages I get online, but that's the setup and that's how a lot of us roll. Not everybody's got the dual tube night vision. As the agency, we issue out the single tube because it's a little bit more affordable, but still gets usage. But a lot of the guys, they carry our stuff just like this in the back of our car. And you know, our rack system, it's not paid for by the agency. So a lot of us, I mean, these are 2x4s and 2x6s that I did one weekend by myself. And like, you know,
So how much of your personal money do you have invested in doing your job?
a lot.
10K?
That doesn't cover those. That
More than
doesn't
that.
cover the night vision alone.
Okay.
So it can get really pricey. And a lot of the stuff that I have that's personally owned is because I have it, but it's also so the next, you know, operator that we're gonna get on a team has the gear that he needs in the essentials. So that's ultimately what it's, you know, what we got. But yep. Do you want me to?
Yes, I do. Definitely. That is really, really cool.
Thank you. So it has a tarsier, so like an iris, right? So
there you go.
this opens and closes, the external one, and then it's got a, like you should be familiar with the iris, right? Adjust this part. I mean, it might need, I don't know if it's gain or focus or whatever y'all call it, but it adjusts. I'm the assault team leader, right? So Noel, his team's gonna be behind me. When I make that first room and I clear that first room, I drop a chem light.
Okay.
Then when I go to the second room, I drop a chem light, and we try to do it on each doorway. So if we're in a hallway or a big building and he recognizes the chem, he knows I've been through there and they don't need to own that space.
Okay.
Take it, I take it with one hand, crack it and shake it, and that's it. That one's used. But yeah, just like that. Pretty cool.
Night vision, how it goes to the dark. Calibration precise, let's hit the mark. Every breath, every heartbeat saved. Snapshot taking you just blinked. Lead a secret service counter cyber team.